boys are going to bring the heat today.
As the leader of the Booner Pack, I lead from the front.
All right, boys. Lock in.
It's our core foundation, man. Grit.
I'm fired up. I'm fired the f*** up, boys.
It's pumping right now. It's got my juices pumping, boys.
Welcome to Crunch Time Sports with Jeff, Booner, and Lukas. It's Wednesday, April 2nd, the day of the doc. He's joining today. I'm fired up to get to talk to him after a busy week. We're also breaking down one of Doc's articles. It's about one Lions player that has a lot of question marks. We got a lot to get into today, boys. We do. How we feeling?
I feel like $1 million over here. I'm trying to figure out some things on my end. I feel good though. Hey, it's raining all day. It was a doomy day. Not gonna lie, it was just a weird day out. But you know what makes it better? Talking ball.
Dante's a member for 11
with
months.
The boys. Talking ball with the doc. Talking ball with the boys. Shout out Dante 151.
Yeah, shout out Dante. Shout out
Also
the doc
nice.
coming on. Definitely do not shout out the Seattle Mariners. Gave the Detroit Tigers some work today. Close game, 3-2. But hey, coming off wins, playing probably the best team in the MLB, and then you're going up against Seattle. Picked up 2 wins against them. 3-2 loss today. But saw some scoobs. Riley Green looking really good. So we got to catch the Tigers game too soon, boys. I know you guys are going to open day Friday, but get down there, see Raj.
Are you not going Friday?
There? No, I can't get off work.
Oh,
I texted in the chat. Hey,
damn. I'm sad. It's all right. It's Saturday.
We're running Saturday. We're going to this Pistons game.
Dang.
If you're in the chat, buy yourself a Pistons ticket. Have a night Saturday night. Meet the fellas down there.
Halftime.
Pistons basketball halftime. Yeah, come on. Good time.
Yeah.
Good times.
By the way, I wanted to say Alto Nights. That's the movie we were talking about seeing, Boone. That's the Robert De Niro movie.
Oh, who said that? Dante?
Dante, yep.
Just went and saw the Alto Nights. It was good. Yeah, I would love to see
it. That's the only movie in theaters probably worth watching right now. Definitely not Snow White, I think, at this point. Safe to say. But yeah,
I didn't even know there was a Snow White movie out. I had no clue.
Get a lot of things coming out about that movie. But anyway,
really,
Friday, opening day, Saturday, Pistons game. So hey, if you're not doing anything, if you have work off Friday, then come downtown, hang out.
Michigan Panthers Friday night. Michigan Panthers Friday night.
And then we have the Michigan Panthers Friday night,
8 p.m.
home game. Field. Like if you wanted to, you can hit a trifecta. Realistically, if you could go to opening day, swing over to Ford Field, go to the Panthers game, and then the next day, the Pistons' last home game.
Yeah,
you can hit a trifecta.
You could go a lot. You could go Tigers, Panthers, Tigers, Pistons, in within 24 hours, and be like that. What a time in my life!
You could.
That's a good time to be a Detroit fan.
Good teams now. It's not like you're going to be enduring a pain fest of just every team you're going to see is bottom of their conference, no chance at the playoffs.
Hopefully,
Pistons is going to be the last home game till they have playoff games at LCA, and God knows how long. Come on now.
Hopefully, we get Cade back Saturday night. I don't know what the timeline is for him. Michigan Panthers are 1-0.
Yeah, Rocky Lombardi.
I found out too, and I know we're covering them. He's their third string quarterback. By the way,
Bryce Perkins looked nice.
Bryce Perkins looked good. I guess there's a rotation of quarterbacks. Bryce and another player. We have to figure that out. The Nakua brothers, they were the first brothers I think ever in I could be wrong. It might have been professional football, brothers to score in one game. I don't know if it's ever been done. There was a pick six from one of the brothers, and the other one had a 20-yard touchdown catch. I don't know. I think I got the email. I think it might have been an all professional football. If someone knows a different family where in the same game they've scored a touchdown,
the only other ones I could think of is maybe the Sharp brothers or the Barber brothers, but it'd have to be Rondé Barber running back a pick six. Tiki could have scored touchdowns, so maybe Broncos Packers back in the day.
That's actually interesting. You surprised it hasn't? That's it. I did not know that.
I don't know if that's fact. I would have to look at the email and reread the email, but we're trying to get the Nakua brothers on too. By the way, I'm really texting back and forth trying to get this thing to happen. I don't know. There's going to be a day, boys, where just randomly we pop into the show and I get a text saying, "Oh, and we have the Nakua brothers on." minus Puka.
Yeah, Samson's a playmaker. We watched him. We got to see him in person last year, and then I think he was on the. He last year made plays, and then Malik says he almost took a free kick to the house. So Nakua, whatever's in the Nakua family's doing.
Athletes.
Got a lot of athletes, man.
Yeah.
Really. But like you guys mentioned, lots to get to today. One of the things that I did see today is the Lions may be going overseas, boys. Rod Wood said it is highly likely that the Lions will play an overseas game in 2026. I think the realistic part of this is, as a fan, do you like this? Like, because I get like the NFL side of it, obviously advertising. They get to go to another country. Those fans are excited. They don't get to see the NFL in person. But from a fan, it's okay to be like, that stinks. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Not it's a fan of their team going overseas.
Like they would probably go to Germany for Amon-Ra, right? Like that would be.
It's probably, yeah. That's a good assumption. Probably
that would be my guess. The only thing I don't like is like I do kind of like waking up early in the morning and like I wake up and it's like, oh, we got football.
The early games are sweet. I will say.
But I guess for Lions fans, like we just haven't dealt with it yet, so we don't know like how much it's going to affect the team or how much it would. I don't know. I do like the only aspect I like about it, and whether you guys agree or not, I do like the fact that like the Lions are trying to be predominant in certain areas to where we're going to get more Lions fans. Like I would like that. I would like it to grow. Like I know they're growing in Canada, Germany, like Brazil. Like I think I saw Rod Wood say something like they have like they're doing partnerships with companies in Germany now with the Lions, and they do like watch parties in Germany that they host. So like I do like the fact that they like are growing not just football but like Lions football. Like that I think that's kind of cool. I just losing a home game essentially because he said we have 10 next year, so you're going to be or whatever it is. I don't know, 9. He said you have an extra one next year, so that's probably why they take the extra one away and they make it to go on the road. So that's the only negative about it, to be honest.
That's the reason why I'm not a huge fan of it. Like I understand it from a business perspective. I understand it from going and it gives overseas fans a chance to see, and there's overseas Lions fans, I'm sure. I mean, there's a ton of fans overseas that want to watch them. I get it, but as a fan, it's like
the
travel
games are always just shit too. Like if you ever turn on any of those games
for the players,
whatever team you're watching, whether it's a good team or bad team, they never look like that team. Like it's always like a sloppy football game. Like even the Eagles and Packers game, everybody's talking about the grass and everybody's slipping. Then you go to the Jets and Minnesota Vikings game. That was shit. Jags Bears. That was shit. Caleb Williams had a good game, but overall the game was shit. Patriots Jags, shit. Giants Carolina Panthers, probably one of the worst, most painful games to watch as far as turnovers and just bad football. So I don't know. It's like one of those things where you take them overseas, like it's football, but the teams never look like their actual form.
It's such a one-off. It's like a, I don't know. It's one of those like you win and lose at the same time. Like I would love the NFL to grow internationally, but like doing it that way, it's like I guess you have to do it to be able to grow. And it's kind of like one of those situations where it's something you have to do, but you don't want to.
The thing I think that won't work is an overseas team. If that's ever
that would be a disaster.
I don't think that would ever work. I know like that's been discussed. It's like, what if there's a team in like London or something? That would be one of the dumbest. Imagine.
Yeah, I agree.
A team in Europe playing the Rams and having to travel to LA. Like the flight and the travel for both teams, even if it was in like overseas somewhere. Like they talked about the Jags, what if the Jags move there? That would be one of the worst ideas for any, and by the way, NBA too. Any sports team, like NBA, I know Adam Silver. I think he's actually mentioned it. How they
he's talked about like it's going to happen.
Terrible.
I'm out on it, especially NBA. You play 82 games.
That's such an Adam Silver.
That's nuts. I'm over Adam Silver. I'm out on him.
Yeah, he's terrible. Me too.
About 10 years ago, I was like, I love Adam Silver.
Me too.
Great. He is so bad. I don't even think it's one of those things where you're like, a commissioner. Eventually, people are going to hate. He's just made so many bad decisions.
He stinks.
At least David Stern down the stretch, people like the only thing people didn't like him for was the Chris Paul block. Like that's it. But like, I don't know. Can I ask a question about Rod Wood? About there was a comment made today. Can I bring it up to you boys and see what you guys think about it?
Yeah.
I know it's not in the prep. Where do you guys stand? And I guess for the people too in the chat, because I'm kind of iffy on this. And I don't know how to feel about it. And I see on Twitter, there's like a lot of Lion fans that are pretty passionate about it. And it's really just season ticket holders. Rod Wood mentioned again today that like ticket prices have to go up. Like he's like, well, we don't want to do it, but like it has to happen because of the market. Are you guys like, because this is where I stand on it. Like I'm not, and I don't pay for tickets. So I guess it's just for me, it doesn't really affect me. I just think it's one of those things where it's like, we have asked for this team to be good for so long. And then finally we get a good football team. And like every fan knows like what comes with a good team is the money. Like you have to pay for tickets. Someone put John Hughes, supply and demand. And now the fact we're finally good, that's the complaint. Like people are really going to just keep getting mad at that when it's like, it's not just Rod Wood. Like I'm sure when the Chiefs started getting better, when, the Patriots starting kind of going through those dynasties, it happens with every good franchise. Or where are you guys at with this? Because I saw some Lions fans like, this is my last year. This is ridiculous. And I'm like,
and that's, you know what?
Whether you can, I get if you can't afford it, but don't complain about them hiring the prices because that's what we've wished for our whole lives. Is to be in that situation.
I don't mind it because I don't like going to the game. If I'm being completely honest, I don't really like going to games. I know that sounds bad. I like watching games on TV. I like watching it at home. That's just how I've always been. So I don't really have a dog in this fight because now that we have this, we're always going to be somewhere watching a game or reacting somewhere. I prefer that personally. So for people that pay to go to games, it sucks. It's the reality of it. And to John's point, it's exactly what I was going to bring up. As long as people are buying tickets, like for example, their tickets are going to rise. Do you think they're still going to sell out?
100%. They have 20,000. He made the point and said we have 20,000 people on the wait list. He said we have a renewal rate of like over 90%, which is unheard of in the NFL.
Exactly.
And we have 20,000 people on a wait list. And he's like,
they're still going to pay.
He's like, that alone, most franchises are going to raise the price because of that. Like, and then you talk about like national televised game, you like everything with it. It's like, you have to do it. Like, if you don't do it, it messes the whole market up. That's right. Like, I don't like the complaining about that. I'm going to be honest. Kind of irks me the wrong way.
At the same time, like David Tepper and the Carolina Panthers, they upped their ticket price.
Yes.
And they're absolute dog water. So it's the part of the NFL. It's getting more popular. They're going to drive up the prices any way that they can. It's a business at the end of the day. I still love them. I love going to games. If I have the money to go to a game, an opportunity, so be it. Whatever the price is, like I get that it's inconvenient, but at the end of the day, it's a national sporting event, and they're trying to do things government-wise, whether you support or not, to try to crack down on prices. So hopefully it comes back down, but at the end of the day, like it is what it is. There's nothing you can change. If you want to go watch the Lions, there's a price you got to pay.
Yeah,
What's crazy too, and another stat that he brought up, like in Rod Wood, he's kind of dialed in because he brought up like facts. He said the Lions have the number one price for like an average resale ticket, which is over 400. I think he said like 450. I can't remember the exact amount. And he said the second highest is like 250. Like it's almost double. And he said that's resale. So like when you look at like the secondary market, like the NFL tracks all of that for teams.
Yeah,
and the teams based off number. Yeah, and he's like, when you see the resale price and the demand for it, he was like, to keep the NFL market and all the tickets across all 32 teams correct, like when you see the resale, you have to be above all. You have to raise the prices. Like that's just the way it works. So the complaining on it to me, it's like, I don't know. Like for me, you know what happened to me? I had Pistons season tickets 4 or 5 years ago, like when they were bad, and I renewed it like 2 years, and they got worse. Like they went down. Like they just kept getting worse, and they kept raising the prices for me. And then I was like, I'm done. Like I'm out. Like I'm not gonna keep paying. Like I would get it if it stayed the same. I would have kept renewing it, but they significantly raised it, and they were worse year after year after year. So it was like, why are you raising it? Like there's no demand for these tickets. You're just raising it to raise it. Like with the Lions, they're actually good. Like there's actually a product where it's like, hey, there's demand.
Yeah, I think you're worth what someone's willing to pay. You know what I mean? That's for anything. So if people are willing to pay for tickets, which I assume even if they rise, people are still going to be selling out the stadium. Compare it to a lot of the more expensive places. It's just the price of doing business. Like, again, I don't have a dog in the fight. I'd rather watch it at home anyway. But for people that go, it stinks, but It's business, I guess. Business 101. And they're still going to sell a crap ton of them. They had standing room only last year, and people were complaining. It's like, well, it's going to be standing room only for a lot of home games this year, especially with a healthy team. How good they can be, it's just how it is. I'm all for the people, but that one I don't really have a. That one too much.
I can't stand it. I'm a man of the people. I'm the fans. I'm the Kool-Aid drinker. I just can't stand opening my Twitter after like those comments from Ron Wood and see people complain about the Lions being good. Like they have to pay more. To me, it's just like welcome to finally being like a competent franchise. Like this is. Do you want to go back to where we were 10 years ago? We could do that if you want, because you don't want to pay money.
Stafford,
those tickets, those tickets are cheap, but they were going 6 and 10, so you can pick it how you want it.
You can't go to the game. Like, I'm sorry, I know you've been doing it for a while, but it's like if you just can't afford it. Like to me, that's just what it is. Like you can't do it. You can't.
Yeah, which I ain't paying for those tickets next year. Hell no. But I'm still gonna watch. I'm still gonna be
locked
live
in. Show.
Yeah. Hey, we'll still be locked in live betting, like degenerates. So that'll be fun. All right. Speaking of a player, who you're going to see? Showtime. Showtime.
Yeah.
Brad Holmes commented on a player that I think there are a lot of questions about, and I haven't really brought him up, maybe rightfully so, when we talked about Aleem being out. And Brad commented on Brodric Martin. And the quote he used on Brodric Martin was, he's got to be consistent. The full quote from Brad Holmes is, look, he's got to be consistent. Obviously, you guys all know I was very clear and transparent that he was more in the developmental project bucket when we took him. But now it's time for him, not just because he was brought flashes in the preseason when he came in from his injury. He brought flashes, but, he had some low points as well. So we need to see more of a consistent player, and he just needs to be a consistent player, and he knows that. We've had transparent conversations, so he knows that he needs to be a consistent player. He's got all the ability, he's got all the physical tools to be a consistent player. So he's consistent like 15 times. So obviously consistency is what they're expecting out of Brodric Martin. He's in that same bucket as Giovanni Manu. They were taking the same draft, two players that were technically developmental projects. You saw Dan talk about Giovanni Manu, a little more positive, even though we haven't seen any football, but still, it's like, maybe he plays guard or whatever. Brodric Martin is consistency, which I don't know if I like that word, because honestly, if you think about Brodric Martin, if you think of consistency, it's like, well, we've seen a player perform well. We just need to see it more often. You haven't really even seen him perform well. So that's, I think, more of a concern than just, hey, guys got to be consistent. It's not like he had a game where it was like a lot of flashes. Like I remember perfectly the Packers game where he filled in for DJ Reader. Wasn't great. What they had they had another guy, I forgot his name, but they brought in Pat O'Connor, actually.
Pat O'Connor.
Yeah, Pat O'Connor. If I remember, Pat O'Connor came in that same game. Remember, guys, and Pat O'Connor had an excellent game against the Packers. So to me, that says more about what we're dealing with here. Like, Pat O'Connor stepped in and looked better than Brodric Martin. So I think Brodric at this point,
that's so crazy.
And we're going to do like a Detroit Lions stock market with players. That'll be a fun segment. But at this point, I'm just going to say it, man. He's looking like a bust. That's what he's looking like.
You know what's crazy?
He's looking like a bust.
The last 2 years, and I just noticed this, and I don't know if PFF is wrong. In 2024, he didn't play a snap from week 1 to 12. Week 13, he played in 2 snaps. Week 14, he played in 23. And he didn't play in a snap the rest of the season. He played in 25 total snaps this season. 25. And mind you, that is with 15-plus guys defensively on IR. Like, that I was a guy coming into the year like, hey, Brodric Martin, boys. He was healthy scratch every single week. That's
like, he's got the physical tools.
He does, but there's just something that he can't put together. I don't know what it is. But it's like on the other side of the ball, it's like Colby Sorsdale. Like, why is Colby just consistently a healthy scratch? Why is Brodric Martin a healthy scratch? Like, these are supposed to be guys that you drafted. What was Brodric? Third round?
Third round. Trade up for him.
Traded up to the third round to draft him. He has played in 50.
No, sorry. He was in the Manu draft. That was a year prior.
He was 2 years ago.
Sorry. Year prior.
He's played in, I think, maybe 60 total snaps in his career. Not even. Less than 60 snaps in his entire career. And a third round pick we're talking about. Like, we have seen third round picks.
Kirby
Joseph. Yes. Amin Ra, who's
McNeil.
just a little bit after. Aleem. He's played in less than 60 snaps in his career for the Detroit Lions. That's disappointing. That as of now. And I was a Brodric guy last summer, Klotzy. That's a bust. 60 snaps in 2 years as a third round pick. You used assets to go up and get. That's disappointing. It really is, man. I don't even know what to expect this year out of him, to be honest. I really don't.
The ship has sailed on Brodric Martin because if you just put the list together, as of right now, this is before the draft, Brodric Martin would be, you have Aleem McNeil, DJ Reader, Levi, Roy Lopez, Wingo, Pat O'Connor. And they're going to add more. And that's just defensive tackles. Like, I didn't throw in Josh Pascal there who can play defensive tackle, but he's sitting as your DT7 right now in year 3, and you're going to add more to the interior of the defensive line. You could trade up to get Kenneth Grant. You could wait to get a Ty Robinson in the 6th round. You could get a 4th round pick. You get Deion Walker. But the thing is just Brodric Martin was a guy that's coming from a lower school, and what blew everybody away, especially Brad Holmes, is his size. And at some point, like, you're too big for your own good where you just can't move. The problem with Brodric Martin, especially in that Packers game, was he just played way too high. He had no idea how to get leverage under linemen. And when you're that big, sometimes you can't do anything about it. And when you're having to pretty much develop in 23 snaps, and now it's probably going to diminish next year, there's no way, in my opinion, that Brodric Martin is able to pan out.
And I'm sorry, boys. I don't know if can you guys hear what's going on over here?
No. What's going on?
Oh, okay. Dude, it's just like there's a storm coming through right now. There's like the last few days, there's all these tornadoes and stuff. It sounds like there's like a tornado around me. Like, it's just like constant, like banging, like, woo, like it sounds crazy. I don't know if people in the chat can hear. There's like lightning and thunder, and then it's like you hear that, and then all of a sudden you hear like wind, and it sounds like trees are falling. It's like a tornado. I don't know.
Remember when we saw Twister and you thought it was a great movie, Booner?
I told Jeff about that the other day.
What was the line?
What was that line? Yeah, I don't remember. We were trying to figure it out the other day.
What was that? Oh,
Paul said in that movie. I forgot.
I thought it was a good movie. Yeah, I'm gonna try and be safe over here, people. I don't know what's going on. I'm just nervous, dude. I see all these like on the news, and you know, hope everyone's okay. Prayers up to everyone. But like, you see like all the damage around Michigan, like all like that stuff's crazy, man. Like trees falling on cars while they're driving and stuff. Like, that's nuts.
Yeah, I don't really see much. I don't really see much over by where I live and John lives, because we're more like, there's not much. I mean, you don't see a tornado around here. Usually it's like mid-Michigan, Imlay City.
Jeff, I'm sorry to inform. There's tornadoes everywhere in Michigan.
I'm saying in my lifetime, I've never, like, there's been tornadoes in like Jackson or like
there hasn't been a tornado in Imlay City since I've been here. Yeah, I've been here since I was like,
but just not this area. I've never.
But
when I was in school, like in elementary school, there was like the town right next to us. Its whole fucking high school got leveled.
Yeah.
A couple people got smoked. No bueno. And it's the Twisters catchphrase is, if you feel it, chase it.
If you feel it, you can chase it.
This is the remake they were talking about. The remake of Twister
with Glenn Powell. I thought it was a great movie. It was a good movie.
I liked the movie. I did.
How many times can you play a song to introduce a character coming into a scene? I forget what fucking time, but it would just be like, oh, here he is again. It's just like every fucking
What do I do if there's a tornado? What do I do? Do I get under the desk here and just stay alive and you guys get to witness it? Or
no,
well,
you're going to be.
If you got under the desk,
desk would break right away.
No, you're gonna be like weatherman. Like, that's what we're gonna turn it into. You're gonna hold your mic.
Wi-Fi staying fine.
He has like a rain jacket on with like rain little coat on. He's like,
there's like signs flying by me. Oh my gosh! I just saw the biggest lightning. There's something about storms that really get me, dude. They freak me out.
You can't control them.
That's what I said, dude. Okay, I know we're so off topic.
No,
I had the conversation where my cousin asked me one time, and I know so many more people probably have died with hurricanes, but we've had that convo. What is more scary? And to me, hurricanes, you have time to leave. They give you like a couple days warning to get out. Tornadoes, I could be sitting here doing the show and boom, gone. There's no warning. It's just you're done.
I mean, that is the element of surprise definitely gives tornadoes an edge in this equation. But
same with
earthquakes.
Like,
pound for pound. If you're comparing these prospects and you're telling me what is the more dangerous threat to
not
society?
Dangerous. Dangerous is a hurricane.
An EF5 tornado, still within itself, doesn't stack up to the force of an F1 hurricane. Okay, you look at Katrina, that disaster. You
category,
look at hurricane in Joplin, Missouri, disaster.
I don't have a bathtub here, by the way, Rando Smalls. I'm in an office building. What in an office building can I? Where do I go?
And I think what scared me the most is a fucking earthquake.
Or I think anything that comes out of nowhere.
Singapore.
Yeah, dude. I'm
imagine
telling
like
you.
living in a skyscraper and then the earth just shakes, and you're just like, that'd be fucking terrifying. Like you'd live through it most of the times, but that would
because earthquakes could cause tsunamis.
Yeah, it just anything that happens like boom out of nowhere, dude.
Yeah,
it's just like tornadoes, boom out of nowhere. Earthquakes,
you could be hit with the double, earthquake, and then after you're like, here we go.
Rando Small says a staircase. There's no staircase here. It's a one-level office.
Hey, John's been a 7.2 earthquake. Oh yeah.
Do I get in my car if there's a tornado?
That's probably the last. You remember Twisters, Boone, where they get launched?
Yeah, you don't want to
put my seatbelt on. I'm safe.
Randall says we had one touchdown in Owasso.
Jeff, Owasso.
Never been to Owasso.
I've
never been there. Owasso. It sounds like a football player, like an edge.
It sounds like Nwosu from Seattle. I was thinking the same thing.
Yeah. Jeff Gilbertson says thousands, still no power in Northeast Michigan. I was without power and heat for 54 hours. Oh my God. House was at 39 degrees when power came on.
Jeez.
Jeff, you're a trooper.
Oh, Rando said I'm done. I'd legit, boys, in this office space, I have zero clue. If I hear a tornado coming, I don't know where to go. It's just like, I better hope I'm not in the spot of the office that gets hit.
Yeah. Well, Jay Hart says farm towns get tornadoes, not heavy populated areas. Well, at least Dante 151 says there's no tornadoes where I live, and I live in Traverse City.
I think there's been tornadoes in like Macomb and stuff. I think there has been.
There was one in like the 80s or something.
Last year there was when we were working at Woodward, because I remember I was like, there's tornadoes in Michigan?
Yeah.
I think there was one they talk about it like near me in like the 80s or like 70s. That was like the big one or something.
Yeah, I think like towns like your town, Jeff, specifically, like my town. I don't remember. Like I've lived here forever. There has never been a tornado that's come through my town specifically. I think it's just like every 50, 80 years, a certain town will get hit.
50, 80 years,
and it rotates around. It's just random.
Decade gap.
Steve says Holly, Schwartz Creek, outskirt of Flint area is a hotbed.
One of my best friends played basketball at Holly.
That guy north says, I'm glad I'm just south of that
Broncos.
Crazy Ice Gaylord area north.
Such a crazy name for a city. Every time I see it, anyways, wild name. Is that how you say it? Gaylord?
Yeah.
I mean,
Gaylord.
I like Gaylord. That one's better.
There was one in Grosse Pointe 3 years ago, Jeff. You're not safe, bud. You are not
Grosse
safe.
Pointe's like...
That's right behind you. That's 10 minutes.
No, well, yeah, it's probably 30 minutes. It's not like super close, but yeah.
Oh! Just saw the biggest lightning. Oh! That was a pure reaction, too. That was not fake. That was such a, wow. That's going to be loud.
Stop the cap.
Count the second, bro. Count the second.
I'm already way past that. I guess it's not that loud, but geez, that looks scary, dude.
Dude, we might lose Boone live on here.
We're gonna think that Zadarius Smith got re-signed or something. It's gonna be a lightning strike outside.
God says, "Bump the brakes, Marty McFly." Imagine. Well, what's that?
What? Back to the Future?
No, I'm blanking on an obvious movie. This is depressing. where the tornado sucks in the house and it like takes him somewhere.
Oh,
else.
Wizard of Oz.
Yeah. Boone's about to be Wizard of Oz, man.
He's Dorothy.
He's
Boone would be Boone was in Wizard of Oz. He'd be the lion for sure.
Courage.
A lot, dude. That movie
Cowardly
is kind of
Lion.
goated. Used to scare the shit out of me. The fucking bat monkey things.
Oh man, good movie though.
I can't believe I just fumbled Wizard of Oz, man.
That is crazy.
That is pretty embarrassing.
That's like one of the biggest movies of all time.
Remember the what's the other one? The Wiz or like the remake? They had the
Oh yeah,
yeah.
a movie I never watched and have no interest of ever watching.
I have no
Alright.
clue what you guys are talking about.
Sorry.
Bet Jeff watched it.
Dude, I just
Oh,
want
he
this
got his
to.
bowl- He got his bowl of
Look at
fruity
Steve.
pebbles and watched
Steve.
Win.
That'd be funny. I'm just like sitting there looking around at the guys. Whoa.
lands at Woodward.
It's like another universe. Like I'm sitting there at Woodward again. Like, whoa, how did this happen?
Lands right into Lady Jane's. Just thrown all the way. over
the past, boys.
there. Yeah, that honestly, tornadoes.
Look over. It's like
bro.
Neo Rule standing next to me.
Tornadoes would probably be one of the worst. Probably one of the worst ones, man. You get an F5. I was just watching that Netflix documentary that happened in Missouri, I think. They had like
Yeah,
an F5
Tornado
one
Alley is
time.
crazy, dude. My mom actually my mom and dad lived in Oklahoma because my dad was in the military stationed there, and they're like in Tornado Alley, and they said every year it was like a survive in
Yeah,
advance
cool
type
on
of
that.
situation.
Cool on
Yeah,
that.
it was-
Not shit to do in
advance.
Oklahoma.
Yeah, like
either.
you just don't know where tornadoes are gonna go. Like you just have to like bunker down and hope it doesn't
Yeah.
hit your house.
Yeah. Yeah, and you get in a bathtub. Like,
I legit, I'm
Yeah,
You put the shower
genuinely.
curtain over you. The fuck that gonna do?
yeah, the bathtub, I promise you.
I think I would just get under this desk if there's an actual tornado. To be honest,
Go outside and look.
I think it's pretty good.
Yeah, that's I mean, Vision Stealth. Appreciate the $5, man. He says Zadarius going to show up to Boone once the screen goes black. Yeah, Zadarius Smith saves you. It's like he shows up. Have no fear, Boone.
Zadarius is here.
Smith is
Z-Man's
here.
here.
Have no fear. Zadarius is here. We should make a shirt with Zadarius on it and have that on it.
Tornado.
Him with like a cape and a tornado,
doing,
like
like, the
twisters
stupid-
behind him.
Yeah. Zadarius Smith. Maybe he's coming home. You know.
That's what he needs.
Yep. Well,
Jason
hopefully
Bauer says, "Yeah, that desk is gonna be your savior." It's a pretty sturdy desk, I think. I mean, as long as like if the building falls, like I have something above
Yeah,
me.
once the walls go flying, the desk will be standing. Don't worry.
Yeah,
Where do I actually go then? Where do I go? Does anyone
No, you got
I go to the
there?
bathroom?
You got a bathroom?
Yeah, but there's no tub. There's there's like a shower at this office,
Clear
You
the
better get
stomach
it.
one last time.
Better get in that shower.
but it's a shower that has no like. It's just like a walk-in.
Oh yeah, yeah. You're done.
I don't know. I think I'm
No, I'm just
screwed.
kidding.
I'm low key kind of panicking over here.
Well, you know what? Let's talk Lions. Maybe Lions will help you calm down, huh? Maybe talking some Lions. All right. Well,
What
We
a
got through-
tangent we just went on.
yeah. It happens. It's the off season. You're going to talk tornadoes every once in a while. You know what I mean? Especially right now in Michigan with this weather. It sucks. It's supposed to rain the next week, by the way. Anyway, Brodric Martin. We all agree.
Real quick, I'm so sorry. I don't want me to do this again. But do you guys remember? He said Scotty B said Booner's desk has to be better than ones we're told to hide under the 70s. Do you guys remember at school where they would be like, let's just go in the hallways and put your head down? Like, what would that ever do for tornadoes?
And
just
there'd be a
went through?
basement in the building.
Yeah, they're just like, we're not going to the basement. Everyone just go next to the lockers and cover your heads up. Like, you're dead. Like, what type of protocol is that?
I bet you took that shit so serious, Booner, like the lockdown drills.
I was the
grab
one
the
with the
stapler
lockdown
for
drills
sure.
where they would be like I was talking, like, what are we doing here? And they would be like, go to the office, like in the middle of a lockdown drill. I'd get sent to the office. So I'd die.
Well, we actually, the hallway thing. I don't know about that one. We used to, if you get in a back room or something, you know, like if one of your classrooms has like another room, it's better than the hallway, probably with no window.
We had thousands of kids lined up in the same hallways. they were gonna. This tornado would destroy us.
Hey, well, yeah, I mean, I don't know how Brodric Martin. I don't know how Brodric Martin ties into these tornadoes. I don't know how Ennis Rakestraw ties into these tornadoes.
The Rakestraw stuff is fun. That's
I really- I really don't. By the way, Jay Hart says I work in the schools. We still do the same shit.
It makes no sense, man.
Yeah, that's crazy. That guy up north says we were told that would protect us from tornadoes. Our grandparents were told that would protect them from nuclear bombs. Yeah, the nuclear bombs. You stand in the hallway with your head down. It's not going to do much, bud. I'll tell you that. That's tough. All right, let's get to Ennis Rakestraw. Yeah, what a transition, huh? Ennis Rakestraw. Brad and Dan also commented on Ennis Rakestraw. I talked about him. This is also on SI, so check that out. John Maakaron been covering it. But Ennis Rakestraw, he's a player that you're going to want to pay attention to this year because last year you didn't really see him because he was dealing with injuries. They needed corners, but didn't really matter because he wasn't available. But he did have some comments here, and I'll put this on the screen so you guys can read it. We'll read what he talked about, Mr. Ennis Rakestraw. Here, let me put this up. All right. So Ennis said, I'm pretty sure this is to John, if I'm not mistaken. I don't know if he talked to John, but I don't see. He just talked to. He said, this just brings me back to my roots of everyone doubting me and not believing that a kid from West Dallas can do this, Rakestraw said during his, the press conference, never mind. End of season press conference. So I'm just appreciative that they gave me my fire back. I use it in the off season. I'll be better, I promise. How much juice you think Ennis Rakestraw has right now?
Dude, okay. Can I get?
Yeah.
I want to throw something out there because I didn't realize, because I listened to the Dan press conference yesterday down in Florida, and Dan had, and I should have clipped it. That's on me. I'll explain a little bit what Dan said. He was asked about Ennis Rakestraw. And I thought it was interesting because Klotz is kind of, I don't know if Klotz, you said like fully this, but you said, hey, this is a guy just to keep an eye on. Dan brought up with Ennis, he said, typically in the NFL, especially corners and secondary players, from year 1 to 2 is the biggest jump. Whether they play or not in the first year, that's where you get to see like, hey, is a guy going to take a step forward? And what he essentially said, paraphrasing again with Dan Campbell, is he essentially said is, yes, Ennis was hurt last year, but he's like, I'm very confident he comes into this year and in this summer and he's ready to go and he's ready to take that year 1 to year 2 step, as most NFL players do, especially secondary guys. And his side of it was, hey, I think he's going to come in and compete. Like the way, and I know Dan usually is really like, you believe everything he says, but the way he said it was like, I trust that he comes in and he's competing for a starting job. And he's going to come in and compete with Amik Robertson and Terrion and DJ Reed. And he's going to go in there and he's going to battle. And especially if you have a guy like Ennis Rakestraw doing that, a second-round pick, which we know outside of injuries, and that was always the problem with Ennis. Take away the injuries, hell of a football player. He could play. Like, he is a legit, he could be a starting corner or a nickel in this league if he stayed healthy. Like, his upside. So if he comes in and he stays healthy, boys, and he takes that year 1 to year 2 step, you're like, yeah, whether he starts or not, he's like your kind of like 4th, 5th man in that corner spot over like what Kendall Vildor was. And Kendall played a lot of snaps last year. I think that's big to have Ennis Rakestraw. I just think it all comes down to like, can he stay healthy? That's all it comes down to. But if he does, like yesterday when Dan talked about him or 2 days ago, like he had all the confidence in Ennis. Like he was like ready to go. He was pumped up about him.
Yeah, I'm very excited to watch Ennis Rakestraw this year just because I think some of it too, especially after watching Ennis last year, not saying that he can't do it, but I think the Lions realized too, and just watching the film, like he is so much more of a natural cornerback than an outside guy, and bringing in DJ Reed and Terrion, like I don't think Ennis Rakestraw is going to be pushing them for competition. But when you have a guy who going through the SEC, going through his first year in the NFL, he was asked to, hey, go play cover guys on the outside. But he's such a good run defender. He's so good at making contact at the line of scrimmage that the battle between him and Amik is going to be so fun to watch during training camp. And Boone, I'm going to make sure to preference this very well. Booner did not say that the Detroit Lions should draft Malachi Starks. He was saying that you need to watch out for BPA, but that was a big reason why I was so against like a safety in the first round. They're just being like, you know what? Starks is best on the board. Let's take him, put him at nickel. And it's wasting that second round pick because Ennis Rakestraw, again, undersized, don't care. He plays like he's 6'1" or 6'2", but he goes up and smacks motherfuckers at the line of scrimmage. And that's what this team needs, especially if you can have somebody, because Amik can play on the outside, but when you put him at nickel, he has the strength of being able to cover. And the Lions are so good at stopping the run already that, in my opinion, it's better to have a corner out there at the nickel spot when you have Brian Branch and Kirby Joseph on the field than having a safety who can hold his own for sure, like a Malachi Starks or a Nick Emewarie, however you want to say it. I can never pronounce the last name right. But Ennis Rakestraw does give you that advantage with covering. But again, he comes up and makes hits. Like if they're throwing bubble screens, we saw Amik Robertson like blowing up the Vikings. They tried throwing a bubble screen to Jordan Addison. He's throwing Justin Jefferson off the block, and he's tackling Jordan Addison behind the line of scrimmage. Ennis Rakestraw can do those same things for a long time in the NFL. I don't think he's ever going to be a lockdown corner one, but there's definitely years where it's like, okay, Ennis Rakestraw is making plays. He's forcing fumbles, tackling good in the open field, and be a really good glue guy. And for the contract that he's going to be on, if he emerges, you can bring Amik back because he's probably not going to be too much, but you don't have to. You're not going to be pinned to a guy like Amik Robertson when you have Ennis Rakestraw developing behind him. So Ennis Rakestraw, I think he's going to be a lot of fun to watch this year, boys. It might be unlimited snaps, but I think when he's on the field, you're going to be like, okay, Ennis is legit. Like this guy's going to be in the NFL. He's an NFL type of cornerback. I don't think he's going to be a bust.
I don't know what to make of Ennis Rakestraw, if I'm being honest with you. I think coming out, there was probably a lot of the, and I'll just, from what I've seen out of Ennis coming out, was he's probably projected to be, and he played nickel at Missouri, so there's nickel experience there. He could play in the slot, so like I'm open to that idea of him competing. He was he was an okay run defender. Coverage, especially zone coverage, he excelled at. Man coverage wasn't as good at. That's kind of what that's the, I guess, scouting report on Ennis Rakestraw. For a team that plays a lot of press man, I wonder how Calvin Shepard changes a little bit of things to make him play to his strengths, because I don't know if he is a press man guy. You know what I mean? I don't think that's his strength. I think his strength is probably zone coverage, play at nickel. He can get, he obviously moves well. They liked how he's fluid, but just based on what you saw in college, I wonder how that translates. I don't know. I'm interested to see how the Ennis Rakestraw. I'm not saying he can't do it, but I'm not going to sit here and say I'm confident that he will turn into a great NFL player. I really don't know, because in college he didn't have a ton of ball production. So
don't you think there's a world though, Jeff, where like they wouldn't have drafted him if they didn't think he could do that because they knew the scheme? Like I know they go BPA, but I do think every single NFL team they do draft within scheme too. Like they want to make sure, like, yeah, they're going to go best player. They do want to make sure though, like, hey, is this a fit scheme wise? Like we're not going to bring guys in that can't do what we do on defense. Just like that wouldn't make sense at all. I think it's the same thing offensively and defensively. So I do think like there is a side to where they are confident. I know we haven't got to see it, but I would say like there's no way Brad and even AG would let them draft Ennis if they can't. Like I heard, and I know it's a different franchise, but I was listening to Ryan Poles talk today, and he said one thing that he does and he's done with the new staff is like, I want to make like Dennis Allen. Like, how do you want your defensive players? Like we'll get BPA, but what type of guys do you want on your defense? And then they go through each position. I want a guy that can do this. I don't see a world they would bring Ennis in if they're like, he can't play man at all. And that's what we do basically 100,000,000% of the time.
He just didn't do it much in college. They didn't ask, they didn't put him in a position. He wasn't asked to play like press or man coverage. He was mainly a zone corner, and he excelled at that. So I don't know if it's like trying to fit a square in a circle hole, or it's maybe someone that has unlocked potential at playing man coverage. I don't know.
When you look at his style of play, like he's so physical, like he'd be able to like start to learn like man coverage. Like it's not like he's going to be like, oh, I don't like getting physical. He's going to be terrible if that's the case at press. But like by year 3 or 4, like I think Ennis Rakestraw, given the opportunity, he could easily be a player like Jordan Lewis in the NFL. Like he's not going to be a star, but like a guy that's like a very solid cornerback too. If somebody gets hurt, and in the meantime, like you put him in the nickel, he's able to cover. So I'm honestly not too worried about Ennis. I know it's kind of a packed room right now, but as time goes on, I think he'll eventually emerge.
I agree with you on your nickel. I think his best fit's probably at nickel, if I'm being honest. Mm-hmm. I think that's somewhere where I think he could thrive, but we'll see. Just got to stay healthy, man. Randall Smalls, thank you for the $5. Just, do you guys think there is anything with 3 D-line coaches now in 3 years and all the injuries?
No. To be honest, I don't.
No, I think the first D-line coach, Todd Scott,
I think he just wasn't good.
I don't think he was, up to par with, but I think the last 2 they've had, Tara Williams and now Casey Rogers, are 2 excellent guys. Like
elite.
I think I think what a lot of it honestly has to do injury-wise with the defensive line is like kind of the whole defensive line as a whole. Like they tried to lose weight, like Liam, especially Brodric Martin. I know he didn't get hurt. Even Aiden, like Aiden didn't get like skinny, but Aiden got like built muscular. There wasn't a lot of body fat on Aiden, not a lot of body fat on Lee McNeil. And you're going up against offensive tackles, offensive guards, dudes that are moving fast. And what do they have? A lot of body fat. So I feel like, I don't know. It's not like the nutrition department of the Detroit Lions is to blame here, but it's like, okay, a lot of these defensive linemen are trying to get quicker, but at the same time, they're taking so much abuse that they got to have some of that fucking fat.
Do you know what I think it might have been Rod Wood that said it today, and I didn't even think, none of us have actually talked about this. Great point from him. I can't remember what the exact question was that brought it up. I believe it was Rod Wood, but whoever it was, they brought up why were there so many injuries defensively, and I think they were talking about different things, like they're getting a new weight room, they're doing a lot of different things. He actually brought up and said the reason that they believe that there are so many injuries, one of the reasons could be is because of how aggressive and like this defense plays, like flying around, like Alex Anzalone, you see him flying around, breaking his forearm. It was either Rodrigo or Jack Campbell. Hutch getting hurt by a teammate. Aleem gets hurt by a teammate. And that was actually what they asked Rod Wood. They were asking about like practice times, like, are you guys going to have to take a step back? Like, and he goes, I don't think, like, it has nothing to do with the field. It has nothing to do with, he said, I think it's really just like how high level, like how hard these guys go, that this defense flies around so much and they play so aggressive compared to other teams that they're flying around hitting each other. And like, if you go look at a lot of these injuries, Marcus Davenport, like, it was a freak accident getting hit by a teammate or getting hit by someone. Like almost everyone on defense, like you can look at and be like, that probably could have been avoided. Like that didn't need to happen because you're getting hit by someone else. So when he said that, I was actually like, especially defensive line, you're in there in the mix. And if you have linebackers and defensive linemen just flying around, like, yeah, you're going to, like, Hutch got it, Aleem, like, all these guys. Well, Aleem's in the knee, but you see what I'm saying? That actually made, when he said that, I was like, ding, ding, ding. Like, wow, makes a lot of sense now.
If you look at the 49ers too, they had it a lot of times on the offensive side of the football with the way that Kyle Shanahan plays. But think about Deebo Samuel, Brandon Ayuk, George Kittle, especially Kittle early on would get hurt. And then you look at their running backs and it's like Kyle Shanahan goes through running backs like it's nothing. It's just because they're such a physical style of offense that it's probably a lot to do with that as well, Boone.
But do you want to like tell your guys like stop going hard?
No.
So it's just like, I guess it's one you have to take, but you just have to hope like this year, like it didn't happen last year, but they were flying around. This year is just so many, a lot of what is it when you're playing like Call of Duty? Friendly fire.
Yeah, chill the friendly fire, man.
And it's just you're flying around so fast. It's tough, man.
Well, speaking not friendly fire, but friendly faces, our good friend John Maakaron, the Doc, publisher of Detroit Lions on Sports Illustrated, went through 2 of his articles, which you could check out. Had a piece on Ennis Rakestraw, a piece on Brodric Martin. Stays updated for all Lions fans regarding the Detroit Lions. He hasn't gotten sucked up into a tornado yet, but he is back home, and he is here with us. So let's bring him in, John. How are we doing, my friend?
Man. Yeah, no, I'm in the mean streets of McCombs, but looks like I'm avoiding the tornado. So far, so good. But if I end up blown away, it was a good run. But it's a crazy time, man. How does the weather get worse in Michigan in April? It's a crazy time. You know what's crazy? 1997, 98. I would have tennis matches starting in April. We would start training in the middle of March. So the weather patterns, whatever's happened over the course of the last 35 years has been crazy, because I remember telling my wife, I was like, we used to go out middle of March, start running, training for tennis. And now you can't even get out there and play a match at all because the winds are blowing. It's raining. I want to get back to Florida as fast as possible, man. It was nice.
Well, we got to get golfing soon, Doc. That's what we got
to do. We got to get on the course, Doc.
Get out there with the Doc. So,
absolutely.
But let me ask you. So you've been covering this. I mean, early this week was insane. I mean, Dan and Brad both spoke. I do want to ask you first with Brad's probably the biggest comment he had, which was about Zadarius Smith. What would you make of his response? They're still in contact with Zadarius Smith. Obviously, he explained why he let him go. But just where are you at right now with a possible reunion based on what Brad kind of mentioned there, staying in contact with Zadarius Smith's agent?
Yeah, no doubt. And to quickly satisfy the chat, of course I came. I'm still a little bit in vacation mode.
Come
Drinking.
on.
Still a little bit. Busy time. Look, I will say this. Put it out there. I choose family always over work. So I was in Florida before the owners meeting. I've never gone to Palm Beach, Florida, Orlando, to where they have the owners meetings, or Arizona. They rotate between a couple places. I've never gone. And, if you guys check it out, what's funny is there's a metaphor. If you guys go see the Mike Tomlin photo with Mark Kavaley, that's how reporters look. Do you think Doc wants to hang with people that look like that? No. Or I do not want to hang with the older crowd, the burnt out. I want to hang with the festive youth that are partying, having a good time in Orlando. But maybe as I get older, as the wrinkles, you'll never see me looking like that on camera. But that was
wide open.
That was hilarious, because that's what reporters look like when they're grinding and they're trying to cover the NFL for 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. It's a grind, but there's a recipe. There's secrets to be able to stay fresh and have energy like the Doc. And that's crazy. I don't want to hang with the reporters. I just don't. I'd rather hang with my family and have a good time, hang with you guys and chat. And but look, there was a lot of good reports coming out. They air it out. They air the luck. The blessing is to be able to see the tweets and to see from the social media team what was talked about. And to me, the owners meeting was a lot of confirmation from Brad Holmes and Dan Campbell about the things that everybody was speculating. It was clear they couldn't afford Zadarius Smith at the price that he was at, and they potentially could bring him back. And like we said, remember, we talked about it. They're in contact. Zadarius can party with Cash Doll and hang out and all over the world and relax and field offers when he wants to. He's a vet, and he'll show up to play football to a team that offers him the best situation. And I'm not terribly surprised at all about the team maintaining contact with Zadarius Smith. I thought all of the information that was talked about was pretty straightforward, but there was a lot to dive into. You guys were talking about Ennis Rakestraw, Brodric Martin. I thought the stuff with Jamison Williams was very interesting. And I loved the fact that with certain players like Jamison Williams and Hendon Hooker, Brad Holmes and Dan Campbell said, hey, this is what it's about. It's time for them to do what they need to do to continue to show what we need from them. And I love what's the best thing about the Lions in covering Brad Holmes and Dan Campbell. They're pretty transparent with a lot of the things that they talk about. And it's great to be covering a team where the things that we ask about and the reporters, the great reporters in Detroit, ask about, you get pretty much direct answers from the team.
Doc, I'm going to start off with this. Mark Caboli, the guy in that picture, absolute legend. I know you know it. He works for the Pat McAfee show. That might have been one of the funniest videos of all time for a reporter. That man can do whatever he wants. If he wants to sleep next to Mike Tomlin, hey, he can get that man a pillow and a blanket and let him sleep, Doc. No, I don't want to bring up this, though, with the whole Dan Campbell stuff in the comments this week. One thing that stands out to me a lot, especially with Kelvin Shepherd being the new DC, it seems like Dan's making these comments that Kelvin is constantly trying to find new ways for this defense and make changes. How many changes are you expecting on this defense? And I'm not saying like personnel wise, but more so like schematically. Like, are we going to see less man this year? Are we going to see them try different things? Because the 2 or 3 times Dan's talked about Kelvin Shepherd, every time he's mentioned how Kelvin's in the building, trying out new things and bringing up new ideas to him. So it feels like that there might be maybe not a complete new defense, but there's going to be a new style of Detroit Lions defense with AG gone and Kelvin Shepherd stepping in. Do you kind of get that same feeling as well?
Yeah, I look at it from the perspective of the talent. I do think that there would be some benefits to help out a little bit, to ease the blow a little bit for Terrion Arnold and DJ Reed. It's tough to play that level of man-to-man coverage in the league. And maybe that if they were able to get that rule change approved where they could hold a little bit more and not have it be such a massive penalty, then maybe they would continue to do it. But I still think Dan Campbell, and what you see is that he has staples. They have staples of the offense in terms of running the football, running off a play action. And then defensively, they want to play still man-to-man. I would not think that having the same defensive I know the change at defensive coordinator, but having the same defensive backs coach, you don't want to change it up too much because you drafted players that fit the scheme that you believe you want to run. And I think that DJ Reed has played man coverage before. I know he played a lot more zone with the Jets, but I think that Terrion Arnold, having played so much press man coverage his rookie season, should benefit from that. And what the Lions are able to do, and it's really good, it's indicative of good football teams. They want to be able to play any which way and succeed. That's why they are so diligent in looking for draft prospects. They want to say, hey, they are truly a matchup-based team. If they feel like man-to-man is what they need to do to win, they will execute that. If they feel like they need to do more zone coverage or, zone man blitz packages, they need to, focus a little bit more on dropping back, they can do that. If they need to feel like they have to pressure a little bit more, then they will do it. And I do think that the opportunities are there to do more things. It's going to be interesting to see who they target in the draft. But yeah, I think that the Lions should experiment with opportunities to try some new things defensively because they still gave up a plethora of yards in the pass game. But what was good about the defense was, there's a lot of things to complain about, the things that we are all talking about in terms of getting sacks and finishing. But I think the thing that was really impressive last year was, even though between the 20s they gave up a bunch of yards, when it was time to clamp down and play well in the red zone, that defense played really, really well. And if you check out Lions on SI, we did. We're doing a couple of series of stories where we look at what John Morton and Calvin Shepard can do similar to the former coordinators and what they can do opposite. Christian's doing a great job of bringing information as to what was really done well by the Lions and what can be tweaked a little bit. And so check it out.
Kind of staying with the same discussion here, Doc. When you look at Calvin Shepard, obviously coming from the linebackers room, worked with the different position groups as well. But when you look at this defense, do you think this is the year that we see Jack Campbell overtake that green dot with Alex Anzalone? Or do you think that Anzo, he's a little bit older, but he's still got a lot left in the tank and Jack could be closing in? Do you think this is the year that Jack kind of overtakes Anzo, or do you think it stays a similar situation to what we've seen the last 2 years?
No, very similar. I think that as long as Alex Anzalone is the leader of that team, he should wear the green dot. He should be the leader. It's great that he's got his position coach now as a defensive coordinator. I would expect fully that Alex is going to have a little bit more say in the defense. And I would look. And here's the thing. Always remember, too, that the green dot is worn by everybody in training camp, in off-season workouts. They get everybody acclimated. And so, yes, it's a big deal symbolically who wears it. But really, in the end, it's just the job of the individual to relay what the call is to help organize the defense. Jack has done it very well, and he had those opportunities in training camp last year. So that's why when Alex went down, Jack was able to seamlessly handle it. And as well, Derek Barnes, I think, is a natural leader when he gets back out on the field. Will have opportunities in training camp to kind of lead the defense and be that emotional leader. But Alex Anzalone is the leader of this defense, and he should be the quarterback and the captain. And Jack Campbell, I just hope that he continues to play at a high level and avoid the friendly fire. And make sure to, as a reminder to Jack, hit the opposition, not the guys that are wearing the same uniform as you.
Yeah, that happens. Seems to happen. He just runs around like his head's on fire, and I love it. But guys get hurt. I mean, it's just how it works. But Doc, let me ask you about, you mentioned J-Mo, and we heard the comments. Correct me if I'm wrong. Brad seemed a little hesitant. You could tell a lot of GM, like the GM speak bot mode turned on when they asked about J-Mo. It was a very this don't really know how to answer this, but we're just going to pick up that 5th-year option. And I don't blame him. It's kind of a weird situation. Am I wrong to assume that potentially J-Mo, as great as he is, just the reality of how many guys they have to pay may be the odd one out, given they already have enough offensive weapons? Like, if you're looking at who could you afford to lose, with all due respect, probably him over a guy like Brian Branch.
Jahmyr Gibbs.
Jahmyr. But your thoughts on that, Doc?
No doubt about it. J-Mo, it's always interesting trying to get me in trouble. Now the alcohol's starting to flow. No, listen. First and foremost, Phil, thank you. Your comments are super nice. That is the one thing that I've always wanted to prove is I'm a regular guy. If you see me, if you guys go out to Allen Park and you go out to training camp, please shout me out. If I'm hanging with the crew, please say hi. I am a regular person. that does this job. That's the only thing I wanted people to know about me is I'm relatable and authentic. So that's really nice, Phil, to hear that. And yeah, if you did take my hat off and put the glasses on, the Clark Kent comes out, the one that's more serious, and the one that shows up here is the one that'll tell you all the secrets and the real thoughts. That's funny. That's real funny. I'm Clark Kent, and now here I'm Superman.
Yeah, you are, Doc.
That's right, Clark Kent. Handling all the business. But with J-Mo, look, bottom line with J-Mo, it's up to Jameson. If he can keep his, off the field situations buttoned up, if he plays well, I expect he's going to mature. Look, he's a wideout. He has that in him. He has that diva, not like overtly mentality, but he's got that boisterous, big personality where when he wants to go out, he wants to be among the people. He wants to be seen. He wants to wear those nice watches. I can see why. When you start, I'll tell you this, and I'm not humble bragging, but if you start buying watches, it's addicting. You're like, oh man, I started with representing Detroit. It started with Shinolas, green and white. So they're very fun. They're very fun to get into timepieces, and it opens up conversations. But Jameson has the personality that he wants to be likable and go out after games and stuff like that. That's fine. Nobody's going to hate on you for doing that, but don't get pulled over by the police. Don't end up in the police blotters. Don't make Jeff and Lucas and Booner talk about, having defense attorneys come on and defend you and talk about things that don't need to be taking place. So look, if Jameson Williams plays 18 games and balls out, he will, look, and it's no chump change. 5th-year contract is almost $16 million on top of the 18 he already got. So he ain't hurting. The watch that he got is probably six figures that he paid for. So he's doing okay. He won't be hurting financially. But clearly, bottom line for J-Mo, if he plays 18 games, I expect him to firmly be the number 2 wideout and compete to be number 1. He's going to get 1,000 yards again, hopefully over 10 touchdowns. And if he doesn't get paid by the Lions, fine. He'll get paid somewhere else. That speed is unbelievable. But here's the options for the Lions, and it's actually in their favor. J-Mo clearly is going to want a massive contract, but I clearly see a T. Higgins situation where the Lions haven't used the franchise tag in so long. Mm-hmm. But if they utilize the 5th-year option, you have him under team control for 2025 and 2026. That's 2 more years at relatively affordable prices where you can look this year or next year to find his replacement if you need it. And I think they're going to draft a wideout. It'll be interesting to see if they get a big-bodied or a speedy wideout. That will kind of give you that indication. That'll be another test. Is the Lions said they want to go younger at wideout, which was code for younger, yes, and cheaper. But at the same time, if Jameson Williams is productive and he's a fit, then you might have to take a 1-year bullet in 2027 and pay him north of $25 million for 1 year. And you have him for team control while you're trying to win. So the advantage right now is in the Lions' favor. And if it's up to them to decide, but Jameson, his job is to make the decision ultra hard by being productive, get out there, and he's got to see it that if he balls out 1,500 yards, and that was my one question, I believe, to Ben Johnson as he was out the door was, how does Jameson get to the next level to be like Justin Jefferson, get those numbers, 15 touchdowns and over 1,500 yards? And he's like, look, with a full offseason, being healthy, that's key, number 1. With his talent, working with Jared Goff, and if he plays all 18 games, the age-old adage, sky's the limit for Jameson. He'll get paid somewhere, but it might not be in Detroit because it is true. Like everybody says, you can find speedy X wideouts pretty deep in the draft because of the fact that that's just a premium skill position that is being developed at such a quick rate. These wide receivers are pretty sweet, but you're still not going to find a receiver of that caliber in the National Football League. So it's up to Jameson. You want to get paid, stay clean and stay on the field, and it'll take care of itself.
Yeah, Doc, I want to bring something up here, and this has been a big topic. Sorry, I look a little different. I turned the light on in here just to
got scared.
I scared the tornadoes away. I'm trying to figure everything out here to keep the tornadoes out. No, I want to bring this up, Doc, because yesterday there was a big topic on this, and I had done my mock draft on Monday. And what I did is I went the approach of BPA. Like there was no like, I don't care about position, nothing like that. The best player available at the time was a guy, Malachi Stark, safety, that fell to me at 28. And he was BPA. There was no high-end edges. They were all off the board. All of the offensive linemen were off the board, and it was really just him sitting there. So I took him. A lot of people were a little up in arms, like, oh, why are you taking a safety? I don't know if you took the same kind of thought process after the Brad Holmes comments. When Brad Holmes basically said, and he was asked, are you able to go BPA this year by Dan Miller? And Brad said, originally I was scared that I wasn't going to be able to, and I thought I was going to have to draft for needs, paraphrasing. And then he goes, after free agency, I feel excited because now I feel like I can do that. When I heard that, Doc, it made me think anything is possible in the first 2 rounds now, to where Brad's going to do whatever he wants, like he did with Jahmyr Gibbs, like he did with J-Mo, like he did with Jack Campbell. What are your thoughts with that? Like, does that make sense? And again, I'm not saying Malachi Starks, but I'm just saying any player, offensive line, defensive line, I'm not going to say linebacker, but not just edge. I feel like Lions fans specifically were like edge or bust. It feels like now anything's open in the first round. Did you get that same feeling from those comments from Brad, or was I the only one that took it that way?
Yeah, no, I felt that way before the comments. And here's why. Brad Holmes has a specific strategy, which is not only are they, and he said it, remember too, he said at the combine, directly right in front of me, he said, we are not a needs-based drafting team. We are not that. Now, typically what that indicates is that, people on the outside will say, well, you need an edge and you should take that first. Well, that makes sense because the sooner you take a player, the higher the chance he'll succeed. So I'm hoping that the best player available they feel maybe falls is like a Shamar Stewart or an edge rusher that people believe can. I'm hoping the BPA is an edge rusher at 28, but there's also opportunities. Look, I don't question really too many things that Brad Holmes is going to do in the draft. That is great. And tomorrow we recorded earlier today a great podcast. Doc and Jock was just really, we're just really hitting on all cylinders, saying, look, the general managers in town pretty much know talent in the draft. They know what they need. What the issue is that to round out the roster, why are the Pistons having success? They rounded out the roster with some decent talent in free agency. That's all we're saying, is that Brad Holmes is not going to be questioned for too many of the picks. Yeah, Brodric, Hendon, maybe Levi, Iffy. That's 4, but he's still got such a great hit rate that the draft is going to be great. This is the best time of year because this is Brad Holmes season. I'm excited. Cheers to that. We are not questioning Brad Holmes' draft strategy too much. It's a deep OL and offensive line and defensive line class. It's going to be fine. I would not be surprised if they took a wideout at 28. I would not be surprised really in any position. If it's Malachi Starks, if they feel, and because the Lions protocol to get a player is got to be gritty, has to love football, has to have a super high IQ, doesn't commit any crimes, has to be, and I know this one might, I don't want to upset anybody, but, they probably, if they're God leaning, that puts them in a favor with the Lions as they pray a lot. They're a religious kind of group. You see Dan Campbell praying before they start airing the speech. They do pray. They want community-minded, good people. And I think that if a player gets selected, then he fits everything that you would like. And here's the clue. A lot of the picks could be from the top 30 visits. So when the draft approaches in the next 3 weeks, you'll start to see more names get reported as to who are the top 30 visits. Every site's tracking it. You can go find our tracker. Just Google top 30 tracker SI. You'll find it. You'll see who's visiting. A lot of the picks will tend to come from those that get the in-depth work. Shamar Stewart was in town today. Tried to get in touch with him, but got no response, which was fine. Got responses from some other people as I was texting agents and
come on now, Doc.
They didn't reply. I don't think he's going to, I was a long shot anyway to have him work out with the Lions and then come on a podcast, but you still try, you still have a good time with it. But I love this season now because we moved away from free agency a little bit, and it's not rounded out yet. I feel like they should have been more aggressive in free agency, but they're not. They are telling you we are going to be disciplined. We are free to debate that. If that's going to work, I don't think that's the best strategy because, and I said on the podcast, hey, your mentor, Les Snead, was a little bit more aggressive than you are. Why did you skip that lesson from Les? We like that lesson. You got to remember, the Rams were that close, and they traded their starting quarterback in Jared Goff and were bold. They were like, this ain't it. We're going to trade Jared Goff for Matthew Stafford, and we're going to make some more moves. They were aggressive. So I'm more in favor of that. Fortune favors the bold, but I am not opposed to Brad's style of thinking because he wants to be disciplined. Winning is fun. And at the same time, as you guys were talking earlier, when you win 15 games, you can charge buku dollars for the next 3-4 years. But to me, I'm a one-track mind person. And I feel like it gets you in trouble with a lot of people that are fans and stuff like that. But I don't care. I've always been, I'm first or I'm last. And that's been my attitude. That's how I've been successful in my life, is push to be the best. Don't just be an average podcaster. Be somebody that can take your podcast and sell it to someone. Take your stuff and try and do good with it. Don't just be average. Pay for mics, pay for mixers, do stuff to do things that are bold. I've gotten into so many arguments with my family saying, hey, why are you spending money on this? And why are you spending money on that? And every single investment I made in the podcast was rewarded. And I just rub it in their face all the time. Say, hey, it's funny when I was driving back, 20-hour drive from Orlando over 2 days.
Oh, good God. What, you didn't fly
I drove, We'll talk about my fears here in a minute. But I said to I look over my wife and said, hey, remember that $1,000 investment on the computer you bitched at me about? Look what it turned into. Hey, remember that argument about the microphones and all the space I took in an office to build a podcast? So I always believe fortune favors the bold. Be bold. Try stuff. And look, you think is Lukas really going to come on air and be like, oh my God, I'm so mad that Brad Holmes put us in cap peril by getting Trey Hendrickson, getting Von Miller, getting good players, getting Darius Slay. You think that we're all going to complain if they're aggressive? Now he's put himself in a chopping block where if they don't win over the next 2-3 years, the arguments and the disdain is going to grow because you're charging your fans more and you haven't paid it off yet. The last step for the Lions is to pay it off with the Super Bowl. And every single year it gets a little bit tougher. So I'm of the opinion you be aggressive and you go balls to the wall every year as much as possible within the cap. But, the Lions have a different philosophy and you can respect it for them sticking to it despite the whole fan base going, what are you doing?
Doc, I don't know if I like that impression you just gave of me. Tyler in the chat did, but moving on with said questions. When you look at that, I think I've asked you this question before early on in the offseason, but now there's been more things that happen in the offseason. When you look at this draft board, 1 through 32, is there any situation as a Detroit Lions fan you do not want to see happen? I've talked to the boys a couple of times on this one. Like for me, a hypothetical, I do not want to see Will Johnson land in Chicago because I already have Jalen Johnson. Now you had Will Johnson, who I think is going to be really fucking good. I think that's the last thing I want to see. When you look at the NFC North with the Packers, Vikings, Bears, is there a pick for either of those teams? It doesn't have to be all three that you're like, I don't want that to happen as a Lions fan.
Yeah, no, a couple of things. I don't want to see a top-end premium wideout go to the Packers because that would test the defense. I don't want more weapons offensively for J.J. McCarthy. I'm comfortable against the Vikings and Packers. With the Bears, you don't want Gentry to go to the Bears, which I think people are kind of swirling around, kind of reading the tea leaves. And everybody, I think the betting odds indicate that Ashton is a big favorite, the talented running back. People believe he's the best, kind of Jahmyr Gibbs-esque kind of running back that can do a lot of things. You don't want to see that for the Chicago Bears. I just don't want to see Trey Hendrickson land in the division. Obviously, hearing the McAfee interview and how the contract negotiations haven't gone that great, and he's kind of doing it in the media, which is never good. So, I look, in the end, I'm like Dan Campbell. You don't get scared about what the teams in the division are doing. You monitor it. You clearly don't want Jared Goff to face a lot of pressure from the Commanders or the Rams. You don't want them getting, great edge rushers that are going to, dominate and beat your linemen. So we'll always pay attention to what the others are doing. But at the same token, the Lions still have a lot of talent to be proud of and are going to compete. And I think that when you look at it, you're going to get, and going back to the draft, you're going to get a guard tackle swing combo. You're going to get a great lineman. You're going to get a great edge rusher. I believe you're going to get a wide receiver. I do think that a linebacker is going to put the writing on the wall that Alex, I think in his last year of guaranteed money, will be, you got to find that talent. We're going to dig deeper too, because the writing's on the wall. Alex, I think, also knows it too. He's getting older. It's a physical sport. He may end up with a short-term deal, but I think the Lions are going to look younger for more athletic. They're going to look for the next Alex Anzalone. And so I'm basically doing my own mental processing of what I need to start writing about because I'm still in vacation mode and this alcohol tastes great. But we got to find you got to find some replacements. The next Alex Anzalone, you got to find the next Taylor Decker. You got to find some replacements. The next Graham Glasgow. Maybe it's Luke Nelson, maybe the combo center that the Lions are going to bring in to work out, which would be great because I got to behind the scenes talk to him just a little bit. So that was cool to have a reporter interact with them and get some information. That's always great. So, but look, I think that, the Lions are going to do their due diligence and get a roster that's going to compete. And this is the best part. I think that's the fun part about this. Why I get so fired up every Wednesday to talk to your chat and to talk to you guys is we're now talking about key decisions at the macro level that are going to decide if this football team wins in the NFC Championship game and the Super Bowl. And these are the great moves that we can talk about as opposed to saying, hey, are we just going to barely scrape into the postseason? No, it's going to be a playoff team. It's going to be when they peak, can they compete against the Eagles, Commanders, Rams, and the up-and-coming teams? And it's going to be great. This is the best time to cover the NFL when you're talking about, hey, did this move, this move that you made, is it going to be the right one? And there's always going to be discussions when the Lions make their selection at 28, if they stay, we're all going to pay attention to 29, 30, 31, and 32 because those teams in that class, they're going to start to get the same level of talent as the Lions, and it'll be interesting to see how they think as well.
Doc, speaking of the moving up or moving back, we talked about this last week and this week, but I'm leaning towards the idea that Brad Holmes is going to trade back in this draft. I think for a while, everyone assumed it's going to be a trade up, but Doc, with the amount of depth at edge and just kind of looking at, what could potentially happen, which maybe James Pierce falls to the Lions at 28, which I would love if they took him. But what if they don't feel he's a Lion and someone else wants to trade up and get him? Are you also leaning on more so the side they trade back in the draft and maybe don't even make a first round selection? Could you see that possibility? And how likely is that compared to trading up?
Yeah, no doubt. It's we've had this talk. It's a situation in which you don't have to pay the 5th-year option. Then you can go cheaper if there's a player that you feel you get value at by moving down, get some more capital. I would not be opposed to that. But based on Brad Holmes' history, the odds indicate he's going to trade up. That if they like Shamar Stewart, if they like a player that they feel is a fit, and remember too, Shamar Stewart, if you read his backstory, humble, really gritty situation. Today, he probably told them about his story growing up in South Florida and the tough times that he went through. He's very humble. He's put out that, hey, I'm always going to be humble no matter what. He fits the personality profile of what the Lions like. If they like somebody, I would not be surprised if he's sitting there at 2021 that he could be a target because he's been now on a top 30 visit. He's got the personality makeup. The Lions would sacrifice a little bit of the talent because he only had, I think, less than 5 sacks in his career at Texas A&M.
4 years, Doc.
Exactly. But what has he got in common with Dan Campbell, the coach? I'm sure that A&M situation. Yeah. See, so you guys are starting to put the pieces together that I'm sure he played that up, that Texas mentality of everything going on. So that's always fun to think. And then these guys are trained up too, to say what they need to say. And so it's interesting too, to see when we learn about a little bit what goes on in these top 30s and how it all shook out. If Shamar gets drafted, we'll learn about the process. And one of the early questions we always ask these new draft prospects is, what was the process like? What did they ask you? And we learn those kind of things. So trading back would be fine for more capital, but I'm leaning more toward trading up at this point in time because Brad Holmes is aggressive, and Brad Holmes is like, that's the fun part where he's like, I want that guy, and I'm going to do whatever I can to get him. They traded up. Mistake, and forgive me if I'm wrong, but didn't they trade up for Brodric? They traded up. They traded up for Brodric Martin. They traded up. You'll ask me that too, and make sure you ask about the ticket prices because that was a great.
That's my next question, Doc.
Oh, there we go.
I want to ask.
Listen, Brad Holmes is aggressive in the draft, and that's always a good quality.
Yeah, Doc. My next question was the ticket prices. I brought it up on the show tonight. I have seen a lot of people on Twitter not happy, and this is like year 2 or 3 of this happening. My side of it, Doc, and I think the boys kind of agreed with me a little bit. It's like, hey, welcome to being a good franchise. Like, we're finally here. If you want to go back to 15 years ago, be my guest. But this is a part of what it is to kind of be great. And this, there's luggage that comes with being great, and that's part of it. What are your thoughts on that and the fans kind of being a little bit upset about it?
Yeah, no, it's very interesting. I'm going to choose my words carefully because I did hear your comments at the start of the show. Part of the best part about Wednesday and throughout the week, I'll peek into certain segments. I love the Saturday show you guys put out there at 10 a.m. Caleb, I feel, is a great talent along with Mike. You three are a great, great trio. But, and again, you guys know you're not going to take anything I say personally. So, because you guys know I've golfed with you guys. I wouldn't show up here. I can show up and do anything. And I wouldn't show up here if I didn't respect you. But you guys sounded, and Booner sounded like, and then Jeff was like, well, I don't like going to games, so I don't really care. But you guys sounded like some elitist Rod Wood followers, and were like, Rod Wood literally stood out there and said into a microphone, I didn't hear any complaints. That is so out of touch with the average person. He did understand the business side of what he was saying, which was exactly accurate. The reason they jacked the prices up is because people are going to pay it. There's enough people to pay it. But you can't discount the fans that are hurting. You are, and I relate to this personally because it hit me directly. It didn't affect me in that. And again, I don't want to sound elitist, but when I was a season ticket holder, my tickets cost $40 a ticket in the 17th row in the end zone. That was fine. Workable, $400. The next year, it went up. No problem. The next year, it went up. All right, we know the trend here. I said to my boy, in the time I was a season ticket holder, we won 4 games, and there were games that were just awful. It was times where the Bengals fans took over Ford Field. It was the clown show with Matt Millen. We basically would show up and laugh and get bombed and just laugh at how the Lions were going to lose. We would bet and play games as to how are the Lions going to lose today? Are they going to blow a lead? Are they going to, have 50 penalties? Is Joey Harrington going to throw it to the other team? What's going to happen today? How are they going to lose bingo? But then eventually, by the 6th, 7th year, my boy came to me. He's like, John, he was in an early point of his career. I was fine. I was working, and I've always taken the attitude of with money. All right, I got to make more of it. I got to find a way to hustle and learn and have a business and figure out how to take care of myself and have things that I want. So, and I'm cheap and I can budget. Like I can roll off of anything based on how I handle my finances. But my friend was like, John, I can't do it anymore. And it was a joy to do it with him, to tailgate. We would tailgate, but what was now LCA. We shared so many great memories and laughs and getting drunk before the games and just being like, these Lions suck. They're never going to win. What are we doing? But it was never for me hurting to pay the bill. It was just like, man, they're just jacking up the price for a shitty team. What are they doing? And it wasn't fun, but my friend made the financial commitment and he said, I can't do it anymore. So we gave up the tickets and I was no longer a season ticket holder. And it hurt because it was also a bonding experience with my boy. He was my brother. It was something I look forward to. We froze together in December with charcoal on the ground going, bonding over the Lions. So you now get good. And the first thing you do is you go 40% raise. And I'm talking about not steady, not being, a situation in which the fans in Detroit understand that you're going to make money, but you're getting back to standard levels. You're taking it to a level where you're making up for lost income from COVID. You're jacking up the price. Like it's a jarring when some seats go from $1,000 a year to $3,500. Like most people would be like, okay, you go from 1,000 to like 1,200. So you have to sympathize. You can't say that. You can't say into a camera, nobody complained but the brokers. No, they complain loudly. They
Doc,
complain
don't
loudly.
tell me how to feel, Doc. You taught me that.
Listen,
don't tell people how to feel.
No, I'm not telling them how to feel, but
you told me don't sympathize or whatever the word is.
You don't hear the complaints because when you go, people financially have commitments. They got a mortgage, they got things to pay for, and the Lions are a commitment that you make. And so the idea is that Rod Wood and you got to sympathize with people that can't do it. Like I can't tell my friend, bro, make more money. I couldn't tell him that. He was early in his career. Like I could do it. Some people could do it. I could, like, guys, I could pay for season tickets. I could pay for 4 of them. It's not a problem. But I sympathize with the people that can't because they love the Lions. They love their football team. And so what would have been better would have been like, hey, thank you guys for being loyal when we sucked for 25 years. Hey, we could raise the price 35%. We're just going to do it 10% at a time. Just lightly get into jacking up the price. But the Lions, listen, it's capitalistic. Going, and I agree with you, Jeff, going to sporting events is very expensive. You can't take a family of 4. And so now this is me personally. So once I realized how much money I invested in the Lions, okay, when the opportunity came to make money, I said, all right, and don't judge me. I said, all right, I'm going to recoup my effing investment on these Lions. I'm like, I'm recouping it for all the time I spent, for all the nastiness I saw at Ford Field, for all the shitty draft picks that they had. I said, I'm going to recoup my investment times 50. And I said, all right, here's how much I put into the Lions. I knew exactly how every penny I spent, I knew I spent this much. I said, all right, I'm going to get an opportunity to cover the team and recoup the investment and make some money on covering the Lions. And it worked out great with my passion for sports and my ability to make things happen. But not everybody has that capability. Not everybody gets the luck that I got. I got certain lucky situations that happen where people were like, hey, trust that guy, or hey, give him an opportunity. Some people don't get that opportunity. So I don't sit here and not think about the fans that are hurting to pay it. It's expensive, and it stinks that a fan has to message me, man, Doc, on Twitter. They're like, I used to pay $700 for season tickets, and now I got to pay $1,900. I mean, are you kidding me? It's a tough decision to give up something that you love a lot. And unfortunately, some people will. But it is one of those things where survival of the fittest sometimes is not so nice. But in the end, okay, and here's where you are right, Booner. And I tell my friends this all the time, and they can't because people are talking. And I tell this to my clients in practice. Money is not emotional. Business is business. And there's only one goal in business. One simple goal. And I tell this to every client I sit across from when they talk to me about business and everything. I go, they don't care about your feelings. They do not care. Rod Wood sits in front of an Excel sheet and he looks at the P&L of the Detroit Lions. And his job is to maximize that profit and loss. So his job, I don't blame him for doing it, is to maximize the profits of the business that he's in. And in Business 101, they teach you don't care about feelings. It's make the most money when you can. And if you're a business person, you walk into a room and you go, hey, I got a product worth $50,000 and you're selling it for 20, all your colleagues are going to get pissed at you. Remember, what do you think they're talking about at the owners' meetings? You think they're talking about, hey, man, Booner and John are talking shit about us online. They ain't talking about that. They're talking about, hell yeah, let's go to Brazil, Spain. Hey, guys, can we get into the Dubai market? Can John get us into the Dubai market? And let's get into these markets and make a shit ton of money. That's what they're talking about. How do we get more money from the NFL Network? How do we get more money from ESPN? How do we get more money from Joe Blow in the street? That's what they're talking about. But at the same token, your comment publicly should be, hey, not hey, we got 40,000 people that are going to pay the price if we don't raise the price. If you can't have a ticket, 40,000 people are going to pay it for you. You should say, hey, we sympathize with the fans that can't, and we'll try to do as many things as possible to make up for people that don't have that opportunity, because you are pricing out the average fan.
Yeah.
When you do that.
Can I just want to respond to that too, because I don't want it to come off as a way, and I don't think I said it, and I don't think any of us meant it in a way to where it's like it's not that I don't feel for the fans that, you know, are getting priced out or don't sympathize with them. Definitely do. And it's like, yeah, that side of it sucks. But like, it's a real world we live in. And it's like, this isn't just a Detroit Lions Rod Wood thing. This is NFL, NBA, NHL, Major League Baseball, NASCAR, Formula One. This is a business. This is a thing that every single league deals with, to where if a ticket price and you're looking at it and you're going, hey, like supply and demand, like people, this is a demanded ticket in town, is the Detroit Lions game. You can't just sit back and be like, oh, we're just going to raise it 10%. Because then if you do that, then you look around the league, other teams aren't going to do it. Like it takes a hit everywhere, all across different leagues. To me, it's like, it was going to happen. Like, if you ever wanted the Lions to be good, one of the worst franchises of all time, turns it around, this was going to happen. I just don't like I will sympathize and I feel for those fans. But just every offseason, like, you know, the price is going to go up. I don't like, again, like the complaining and all that. It's like, what are we complaining about? Really? Like, your team is elite. You have a Super Bowl contending team. They built the team. You knew as a season ticket holder that when it gets to a certain point, you're going to have to pay a certain amount. Whether or not you got those tickets thinking that it would never get there, you knew if you became a Super Bowl contender and you were going to go win a Super Bowl, at some point the price is going to get to this. Like it was like this with the Patriots and the Chiefs. Like, when they get to a certain point, these are the prices. Now, like, I had season tickets for the Pistons. I said, if they got as good as they are now, I dropped. They were raising the season tickets as they were getting worse at LCA. Now today, if I held on to them to today, they would have been triple the price that I was paying 5 or 6 years ago. And that's just a fact. So it's like, that's where the complaining, to me, it's like, listen, like, you have a Super Bowl contending team. Are we really just going to complain about the prices going up because it's a good thing that that's happening? Like, they're able to invest now more into locker rooms and different things to help you get to a Super Bowl. It's just, to me, it's like, this is such a thing. I sympathize. I do. I get it. But we just can't every offseason. Like, you know, it's going to go up. Like, market value goes up. Inflation goes up. Everything's going up. It's like, welcome to the real world.
Right. But now, Booner, you are missing the one piece to the puzzle, which is you are charging Super Bowl caliber prices highest in the league when you have 0 rings.
Marketing. You are a contender, and you
are not a winner.
As of right now, the Lions are probably the biggest brand
team. Your prices should be top 5.
You're probably the biggest brand in football at the moment, the Detroit Lions.
No, they are not.
Over the last 2 seasons, going from never winning a Super Bowl to being a contender, a team that went 0-16 to a contender, the Lions are the most marketable team in the NFL right now. That's a fact. Correct. That is a fact. That's why they have the most primetime games the last few years.
But exactly. You said it. They are marketable based on the fact that they have a product that is not commensurate with the prices they are charging. They are marketable because they got fans that are willing to pay and have 20,000 people on a waiting list when they haven't won a Super Bowl. That's where the fans, you could say, well, if you're not complaining, don't pay for those prices. So you have a point there. But when you say, hey, guys, understand that they're raising these prices, understand too that you're also not, you introed it by saying, well, I have free tickets. So you're not feeling the hurt as much as the common man who was paying $700, now is paying $2,500. And then most fans get 2 tickets. So it's just a big jump. And so what the issue is that the Lions are, and that's unfortunate because it's not just the Lions, it's a league-wide issue where they're jacking up prices at such a high rate that you want the fans to be in the stands that are more than half corporate. You know what I mean?
I agree with that.
And when,
I agree with
that. When you do this, you are not getting that. You are that. And then also too, and here's the part that also stings, when you know that they're monitoring what you do with those tickets. If I invest $3,000. I want to be able to do whatever I want with those tickets. You know what I mean? I don't want you calling me a broker if I decide, hey, you know what? I want to make some money off of this. I want to, if there's a market and supply and demand, and I have a ticket and I have 3,000, I put 3,000 into it, and somebody wants to offer me, for the last 3 games of the year, $10,000. I don't need you to then watch because I have the right, in my opinion, to those tickets, and I think that to have it both ways benefit the team is a little bit unfortunate. I think if you want to raise prices 40, 50%, now it ends up being an average like 30% across the board. But if you want to do that, fine. Let the fans sell it. Let the fans also have a way to be able to, hey, you know what, you guys, if I want to sell the NFC divisional game and then the next game, if I want to sell 5 games in a row, that's my right. I've invested and I have the opportunity to go. So that's where it's just a little bit the common man is feeling like the teams are maximizing, reaching in their pocket when they don't have to. The Lions are making a crap ton of money before any single ticket is sold. And when you go, like I said, the average ticket price went up 30%. All we're saying is you could have went up 7.5%. And you could go steady over the next 5 years. But the Lions are maximizing their return. And also, too, it's not called a money grab, but it's a maximizing the fever based on a hunger that the fans have. You're preying on the hunger of the fans, the FOMO, when you haven't earned it yet. You haven't earned the right to be the number 1 ticket in the NFL for any game. I don't care who they are. They have not earned that right. So that's where psychologically you get the fans pissed off. Like, man, you haven't won a Super Bowl yet. Our last memory was Jared Goff throwing, multiple interceptions and this team getting, disappointingly losing another game. And then the next thing you do is boom, you raise the ticket prices. So
I don't think you can say that. You can't say they haven't won a Super Bowl, so they
haven't won a Super Bowl.
They're still one of the top.
They haven't won a Super Bowl, and
to
me, I think that the fans that give
you can only raise your ticket price when you win a Super Bowl. So the Chiefs are the only team. And
no, you raise it 30% 2 years in a row when you win a Super Bowl. You know what I'm saying?
I agree. Listen, Doug, I agree with the point of
we're arguing
the
how
common
much
fan should have. I agree. The common fan should
much.
have an opportunity to go to a game. I agree with that. Like, I don't know if I said I do not get free tickets. Like, if we didn't do our shows,
you said I get free tickets.
I did not say that. I do not.
You said I don't pay for tickets. That's what you said. I don't pay for tickets.
I do not. I never said that. I don't even know where I would get tickets for. I never said that.
Boone, you probably meant like you're not paying for tickets to go to the game.
I'm not going to the game. So I'm not going to the game. So it doesn't.
Got it.
But like if I wasn't doing shows on Sundays and we weren't doing watch parties, I probably wouldn't go to games because of the price. Like, I can't afford them. Like, I'm not doing that. But so I sympathize with that. I just think like it is inevitable. Like, ticket prices, when you are good, they go up. When you're the hottest ticket in town in the NFL, that's what it is, man. Especially when you have so many primetime games. Primetime games are more expensive. Like,
tell them, chat. Tell them the chat. The chat understands. The chat's comment, and I get what you're saying, Booner. That you realize, okay, there is a right, but what we're saying is we're arguing a little bit different. They just raised the price too much.
That's fine. If we want to argue the small points of like the percentages, I agree. That's fine with me. I just like the it's just like we know they were going to go up, right? Like even when you got them early on, you knew, hey, if this.
Okay, so now here's my question to you, Booner: are the Lions worth for if you were okay, and make it so based on what you're making now? If someone said, if Lukas said, hey, I want season tickets. Would you pay right now $2,500 for a pair?
$2,500 for the whole season.
2 for the whole season.
Yeah, I would.
Come on,
I know what I was paying for. I know what I was paying for Pistons season tickets.
A little high.
I would pay that much for Lions season tickets.
I think to me the cap. Crazy. I think the cap to me would probably be. That's where you get a little bit uncomfortable. Between $1,500 and $2,000 is somewhere where you can reasonably go from where you were. But I look at it, the Detroit Lions, they can do whatever they want when they cash in and win a Super Bowl. But like I said, the average fan, like I said, is and also too psychologically, it's just another thing that's up. Eggs are up, bourbon's up, gas is up. When everything goes up, it just feels like the ones and people are more attached to the Lions than they are other things. And when you make people go, man, I can't afford to go watch and hang out with my friends, it sucks. And I'm sure my friend had the same kind of feeling, but he had to make the best decision that was in his best interest. And,
Hey, Doc.
Sucks.
Doc, I'll tell you what, if I could and I was Rod Wood, I would make the tickets free for every fan that's been. Yeah, I would figure that out. Like, I'm the man of the people.
You can.
I would. If I could, I would.
Naive.
I want people to know that. But, but I can't. But
Jerry Jones would walk right up to him and be like, Rod, can't do that, bro. We can't do that.
But you know what I'm saying? Like, I hope you understand. Like, I sympathize with the fans. Like, listen, like it has nothing to do with that. I just like, to me, it's just like we all know what like the behinds of it, like what's actually going on. And it's to me, it's just not a like you don't think people knew after last year into this year. Like, if they win a Super Bowl, it's probably going to go up again a little bit. So that's it. I love the fans. I think they should get free tickets.
So Booner, then instead of the jerseys, you guys got to start giving away free tickets. Find those tickets and give them to the fans.
It's like Coastal Carolina.
Did you
see Coastal?
Coastal Carolina. What are we?
Did you see what they're doing? Coastal Carolina, free concessions all season long. Anything you want. You can go get six pops.
Well, there's got to be a limit.
No, watch the video.
That's not true.
No, it is true. Watch the video. They said anything you want, it's yours. Free. We will play the video later today.
Free, baby. That's good. But again, you couldn't pay me to go. You couldn't pay me to go watch Coastal Carolina. Remember, that's also supply and demand and interest. The reason why they need people to go there because it's Coastal Carolina. Nobody wants to watch that shit. So that's why they're like,
Coastal's a good team now. Coastal win 10+ games a year, Doc. Come on now.
Okay, well, that's good to know. Thank you for telling me that.
Isaiah Keaton Mitchell, Josh Norman, and that's kind of a perennial powerhouse producing talent there yearly, Doc.
Okay. I'm gonna start looking at Coastal Carolina.
Coastal's good.
Teal turf.
Yeah, it's Doc. That should be your new like wild card.
That's my team, Coastal Carolina. I'm now a fan because of Booner. Coastal.
Hey, go ahead, Klotz.
Just Doc. I don't know if you guys talked about it last week, just because I missed it. I wasn't feeling too good. Felt like shit, to be honest with you. But John Morton came out with the statement saying he wants to take 7 or 8 big shots a game. Now, obviously, you got to have trust in your quarterback, Jared Goff, to do that, whether it's a screen pass that's designed for a big play or a 40-yard shot to J-Mo. If you had to put your money on it, again, doesn't have to be dramatic in size, but do you think Jared Goff is going to be better or worse in 2025 compared to 2024?
Ooh, Jared Goff, that's a great question. They did say that they want him to control the offense more. It's going to be a situation in which I feel like it's going to keep rolling. Jameson's going to get better. Amon-Ra better. Jameer, I would think just better. I think what maybe similar touchdown numbers, but what has to decrease is the interceptions. I think that can be cleaned up a little bit. Maybe they, take a couple more chances deep. That's going to always be part of an offense when you have Jameson Williams. But I think that for Jared Goff, you want to run the ball more and you want to have opportunities to take advantage of the skills of Jahmyr Gibbs, who should be elite this year. Everybody draft him top 5 in your fantasy. He's going to deliver a lot of touchdowns. And I think that you want to be a little bit more, maybe less reliant on one of the things that Christian wrote in regards to how John Morton can be different than Ben Johnson. You still want trick plays, but maybe just a little bit less. You want to be grinded out, run the football, smash mouth, and then get play action to Laporta. I think Laporta has to step it way up. So I think the efficiency will go up. Passing percentage will go up. Touchdowns probably maybe go down a little bit because you hand it off to Gibbs and Montgomery. So I would look at it like the biggest key to me is lower the interceptions. They picked up a little bit late in the season. And so I think that Jared Goff's going to have a fine season. He's one of those players that you just need him to not bomb out when the postseason hits. And it's unfortunately there. So fans, get your drinks ready because you got to kind of be like, all right, are we going to get bad Jared Goff today? Or are we going to get the guy that's professional and gets the football around in the postseason? And you always got to worry about that bad Jared Goff game, but I would not worry about the offense. I think the continuity, and like I said, that's why it was so great that when I came across John Morton's name, that was within 10 minutes, I'm like, oh, this is the guy. I tweeted it out first. I said, this is a guy to pay attention to. He fits everything. He's perfect. I looked at it. I'm like, was here, previously interviewed, worked with Jared Goff, and Dan Campbell said, I said, this is the guy. I put his photo up online. I said, this is the guy. And then 3 days later, the national media said John Morton's going to be talking to the Lions. It was clear that was the guy when you saw the writing on the wall. No secret there when you do the research. So I'm happy with the Lions offense. What's going to scare the shit out of me is that defense. If they don't get to the quarterback, if they don't pressure more and finish, the word of the year in 25 is finish. If they don't finish, they're just going to be a pretender.
Hey,
Well,
Doc, real quick, has nothing to do with the question I just asked you. What do you think from the first 6 games of the Detroit Tigers so far? What are your first impressions?
Love it. Great question. I was watching the Dodgers series in Florida, and so I love the fact that I got a nephew that loves sports. I got kids and they love sports too, but not as diehard as my nephew. He's a mini-me, and we're watching the Dodgers, and I'm like, God, I'm jealous because and I talked about it extensively tomorrow on the podcast. That's what I want for one of the teams in Detroit. Any of them. I'm a State fan. I just watched a gritty team get thumped by a better team. And I said in the podcast, damn it, we got the Red Wings gritty, taking advantage of the draft. We got the Pistons taking advantage of the draft. We got the Lions taking advantage of the draft. You got the freaking Dodgers, and they're spending buku bucks, and they got talent everywhere. I said to my nephew, I said, bro, Freddie Freeman's going to hit a home run. Like, I got this overwhelming feeling Freddie's going to hit a home run on us. And we waited, didn't hit that at bat. The next at bat, Freddie Freeman hits a home run. I'm like, I'm watching too many sports. I want to be the Dodgers. Spend, get the best players, cultivate and get the best players. You had a lineup that was sick, but the Tigers competed, and that was a good sign. They lost all the games. That second game was bullshit with the calls and the fans overhanging. That was clear that the advantage was to the Dodgers in the calls. So that's fine, but I felt good. I have the Tigers over. I like their compete level. I liked it. Today's game sucked because you had Cole Keith with an error, and that's going to be the wart is the defense. But you got enough pitching. Job is going to be exciting to watch. You got Spencer Torkelson hitting, which is good. I love this kind of makeup of a Tigers team. I just wish, and I said on the podcast, I just wish that Chris Ilitch would have spent another $100 million. Just spend $150 million. Give these people something to, and I said it on the podcast. What I said on the podcast was, I don't want to be too negative, but going into the year, you're not winning the World Series. And I'm a winner. If you're not first, you're last kind of person. And we've watched development for the last 5 years with the Pistons and the Red Wings and the Lions. And so with the Tigers, it just sucks because you're coming off of the postseason and we're all hungry and we're all like, get Bregman, get Bregman. What the fans were really saying was Bregman's like a has-been. Like, he's the representative of spending. That would have been fine to get him. But what the symbol of that was, Chris, you got a team that got into the postseason. You said that, and Scott Harris said, if the Tigers showed something with the young core that they had, you would invest in the team. And the investment was decent, but you can't roll out there with plus 35-year-old pitchers that are not even playing to start the year. Like, come on, dude. Seriously, go out and get some young talent that can hit, that can make, and the average salary of $20 million a year that can hit home runs. Give these people the Toronto guy that's just, can bomb it out for the next 10 years. Give these people something, because his dad, even if he messed it all up, would spend some money, would bring in some guys and be like, you, Dave Dombrowski, go get this guy for these people. And we all relate to that. And Dave was like, come on, man, this guy's not going to be that great. And he's like, I don't care. Get that guy. And if we have to pay him to leave, so be it. We're rich. So I'm bummed out because the teams are lying to you. Like, you have to spend in baseball. Like, they're very rare going to work Pistons are going to show up in baseball. Like, you have to spend. You have to be a top 10, 15 spender to win. So big picture, it sucks because Chris didn't invest to the level that I wanted. And it stinks because I feel like this young core is great, but you filled it out with a bunch of old ass pitchers that are going to get hurt the first time they throw a slider. It's like, what the hell? So to me, I couldn't believe that. I can't believe they've given me a credential for 7 years. I get to go to opening day. I love baseball. I love Detroit sports. I take it all in. Literally, I expect them to, when I walk into the Tigers press room, that I walk around like, because I don't really talk to AJ Hinch all that much. I walk in there and be like, they're gonna be like, aren't you the Lions guy? I'm like, yeah. Like, why do you keep signing up for Tigers credentials? Because I love Detroit sports. I love competing. I love the memory I had when I was 9 and my poor mom walking me to Tiger Stadium 5 times a year with her little mini salary trying to buy me tickets. I love baseball. I love Detroit Tigers baseball. And I want this team to win. I want these fans to cheer. And you realize this is a gritty group, and that's great. But I'm fucking tired of being gritty, man. I was gritty 15 years ago when I started a podcast. I want the fucking best of the best. Like, we're past all that. Like and you guys were talking a couple of days ago about Mike Valeni and what he was saying about the bad boy Pistons. What he was really trying to say is being gritty is great, but talent always wins in sports. And I want to give the Tigers more talent. And I just want to eliminate Javi Baez. I just want him off the team. I can't wait to watch the Tigers every single day. And I think this is going to be a team that gets to the postseason and makes it tough for some people, but they're not going to win it all.
Well, Doc, let me ask you before we get you out of here, because I do want to ask you about this. Brad or Dan actually answered the question. Graham Glass, you have Graham at potentially right guard, Mahogany, Manu, who could play some guard, and then potentially a draft pick. How do you think that guard room shapes up? Now you still have Colby, but just going into next season, what's kind of like your early thoughts on that room? And maybe Manu potentially playing guard.
Yeah, no doubt. And again, I apologize. What's the best part about being me is I'm such a lightweight, and I'm a bigger dude. Like, I'm not really all that skinny. 1.5 glasses gets me all relaxed. Like, I am a cheap date, and I get like relaxed off of 1 glass. It's the best. It's the best. Like, 1 glass, I feel good.
Let's go, Doc. We love
the stresses of the world are over. Guard room, I think you mix and match. And I think actually I sound better. I sound smarter the more I drink, which is crazy. But I don't want. I apologize. I apologize if I'm rambling. But I love this. This is great. You try and you mix and match Glasgow left side, right side. The Manu stuff is funny because his size would indicate he can't play guard, but it would be funny as hell to see him play guard. He's a tackle. Let's be honest. They're going to try it. I think he's just saying that, but I think you mix and match Glasgow and Mahogany back and forth to see the fit. I would not be surprised if Mahogany played left a little bit in some offseason workouts. We'll definitely be out there and monitoring that, but Graham Glasgow, I think, will be in some competition with a rookie draft pick for that left guard spot. And Mahogany played college at right guard, so let him succeed. He was there in the early part of in college and the part of his career early with the Lions. So I would say Glasgow, make him earn his job, and your starting right guard should be Mahogany when the season starts.
I love that. Well, we appreciate you as always, Doc. Keep up the great work. By the way, everyone, Detroit Lions and Sports Illustrated, Doc has it covered. He's doing a good job as always. We'll talk to you next Wednesday, my friend. Enjoy your night too.
I will. I'm going to enjoy it. You guys are great. You're killing it. I love watching your guys' videos. The chat light these guys up a little bit when they need to, but these guys are doing it. They're the next big thing. They're crushing it. Hey,
come on now.
Get these guys to 13,000 by next week. Let's go. Hit my emoji. Get these guys to 13,000. They deserve it. They provided me a platform, and these guys are crushing it. The next wave of great talent. I'm looking at it. Cheers to you guys. Cheers to the chat. And one last thing. I'll say this. The Lions are still the team. Even though they cost a shit ton to watch them. It's a fun shit to pay attention to. Cheers, guys.
There you go. John Maakaron, Detroit Lions, Sports Illustrated. Joining us every single Wednesday. And he's one of one. He really is. That's why we love him. I also have the video here, Boone. The video.
You got the video?
Coastal Carolina. This is their marketing video, their advertisement about what they're doing. So let's watch.
Unlimited, not just free. Unlimited.
What's up, boss?
Hey, how's it going?
Good. What's the damage?
Free.
Well, what about for this?
Free as well.
Free.
All of it free. You want some nachos?
Yeah.
Free too.
All free.
All free.
Free. Can I get 50 of these?
Yeah.
Free.
Free.
What about a drink?
All of it. Free.
Free.
Have 2 drinks.
Drinks? Ooh,
And a
all
hot
free?
dog. Yeah.
Hot dogs free too?
All free. There you go.
Free.
Free.
Sweet.
That's right, Till Nation. This fall in Brooks Stadium, every fan, every game, always free. Free concessions, popcorn, nachos, hot dog, fountain drinks, and water for every fan this fall. Come out to Brooks Stadium, get your tickets now, and cheer on the Shots. Go Shots.
How crazy is that, dude? They broke the
Well, we
system.
might need to make a trip. I think Jeff's going to be hating. Just
Dude.
be like, yeah, you're probably going to fucking hot. No, I'm going to go up there. I'm going to get a dog. I'm going to get some
Dog.
fries. If they have fries,
Popcorn.
something. Popcorn. Come on.
Free drinks, free water. Probably not like free beer, but like the necessities, I'm sure. All
So
I s-
how does this make any sense?
No, they released an article and they released a statement and they said the reason they did it, they're not trying to make money, but they want to build their fan base and they think doing something like that will help more, bring in more fans to the
Over
program.
under how long that lasts. All right.
At least the year,
Even if it lasts for a
the
game,
whole year.
2 games.
It'll be the
it's-
whole
it's
year.
extraordinary.
I think when you do something like that, you have a plan and like this is what we have. This is how much. Like I think they're gonna do it for a whole year. I really do.
Okay, so let's say in a hypothetical world, how much are the tickets? I don't even know.
$50.
They're like- Okay, let's
Let's look up a Coastal Carolina game right now. Can we look it up? Coastal Carolina football tickets. I mean, we might have to take just a quick Saturday, hop on a red eye, go down there.
I'd be down, Boone.
Just
It's some
just a
good
quick.
ball. It's not terrible. They might be playing Liberty. Could be a great
They
matchup.
could. That's a big rivalry, and me and
how many are the tickets? The stadium holds 21,000 people.
look at this. Charleston, East Carolina, Coastal at South. No, we gotta find a good home game, like a really good home game. Louisiana, that's a good football team.
How much?
Louisiana.
Just give me an average ticket price. Just give me a ballpark. Because I almost want to do this really quick. Because they have.
Let me see. Hold on.
I wouldn't be. I'm not really sure, but they have 21.
It's about 50. It says here, section 122. You're in row S, so you're in row like I don't know, 15, $58.
All right, so we'll just do 50. We'll even do it lower.
This is a random game too.
So let's say they sell out 21,000 seats.
Oh wait! I take that back. I'm so dumb. I picked their biggest rivalry game for that. Normal game here, a normal team, $15 tickets. I'm looking at
15.
right now. Yep. I'm
Okay.
literally looking at a
Let's say-
$16 ticket.
And we could say we're students.
So let's say
Pick up a student
15,
ID card.
let's do for the sake of argument. Let's say it sells out 21,000, $15 a ticket. That's $315,000. Okay, for that one game in
Yeah.
profit from the ticket sales. How much you think in food goes out? How much you think they spend on
I don't-
food?
Why are you so
Yeah.
anti
But
against
I'm
free
trying to
food?
I'm trying to think in my head if I go, I want 50 hot dogs.
Honestly,
Dude,
you want me to be
who's
honest with you,
getting-
Jeff? You know what this sounds like? This sounds like an investment into their program where they're like, we don't care about how much money we lose this year.
We're putting
We're
butts
going
in the
to add
seats.
more fans. And they probably
not
don't
gonna
sell out.
stay.
Coastal probably doesn't sell every game out to where they're looking at it to where they're like, if we make this deal and guys like Booner and Lukas Klotz fly to Coastal Carolina to get free concessions and make a
It's
video.
good marketing. Good marketing.
They're like, we're gonna get fans forever, and we're gonna start selling out next year. We don't have to offer the free next
Boom,
year,
we gotta
but
make
we
it
got a
trip.
fan base. Oh, I will for sure. My family all went to Liberty, so like Coastal Carolina was like a
Did
rivalry.
really?
Yeah, so like so they'll probably, if I get like Coastal gear, they'll probably be like shun me maybe, like. But I'll do
Wow,
it
I didn't
for
know.
the video.
I didn't know they were. What's the mascot there?
Coastal, I don't even know how to pronounce it. It's
Oh
like
no, Liberty.
the Flames,
I mean, I'll get a couple dogs.
Liberty Flames.
Malik
Yeah,
Willis,
my whole
who-
family, dude. My
Anthony Gandy Golden. Trying to think of NFL players from Liberty.
Malik Willis.
I said Malik.
Oh yeah, they don't have a ton. They just started getting like really big over the last like 7-8 years.
Yeah.
They really started to grow. They were independent for a while. Now they're in a league and they're good every year. Their football team and basketball team, they're like legit. They're always
Yeah.
good. But no, yeah, all my family went there. I've been to Liberty like, multiple times. Great little college town.
Well, good show today, fellas. Appreciate the doc. He's in there. Detroit Lions on SI. Subscribe to his channel too, man.
I
The
know.
doc, they're crushing content as well. He's getting into the YouTube space, so we're happy for our friend. And like the video, subscribe if you haven't already for whatever reason. Hit the subscribe button. We're on our way to 13,000. I think we're like 80 away, maybe almost 70 now at this point. But we're doing some, we're trying to hit that 13,000 mark. But until tomorrow, we'll be back 8 to 10 p.m. Have a great rest of your night.
Love you guys.
See you guys.